So there's these three pirates. First one is just a regular pirate. Second has an eye patch, and the third has two eye patches. Captain says, "Yar, you ready to hit the open sea?" First pirate says, "Aye, aye." Second says, "Aye." Third doesn't say anything. At the age of 41, I showed my palm to a palmist as I hadn't had any luck at finding love at all. I asked him, "What have happened to the lines of love and relationships? Will I ever find love in this lifetime?" The palmist, after a careful gaze of my right palm, said, "I'm afraid the lines have been rubbed off." Three blind men were taken to the zoo to be introduced to an elephant for the first time. None of them had ever heard of an elephant before, so excitement was high. The first one was led to the front, reached out, and felt the trunk. He thought to himself, "An elephant must be some kind of snake." The second one was led to the side. He reached out and felt the leg. "So an elephant is a tree then," he thought. The third one was led to the back. He reached out, immediately pulled his hand back and shouted, "Sorry, Grandpa." Nancy was playing cards with three friends. When she put out a pairs of K, she was so excited and accidentally farted. To cover her fart, immediately, she yelled to the friend to the right, "It's your turn now, friend." But, I don't have the urge to fart. I grew up on a farm, but my dad took me to the city for the first time. Neither of us had ever seen an elevator before. My dad thought it must have been some kind of magic door. We watched as an old, overweight, unsightly woman got onto the elevator. The doors closed behind her. Later, the door opened and a beautiful, fit young woman came out in her place. "Get back in the truck, boy," my father yelled. "We're going to get your mother." During a bus trip, the driver commented to a passenger, "People only value things when they don't have them, don't you think?" The passenger replied, "Are you talking about woman, money, friends?" The driver said, "I'm talking about the brakes." Two blondes were walking through the woods. They came across a set of tracks. First blonde says, "Those are moose tracks." Second blonde says, "Those are deer tracks." As they were arguing, the train hit them. Bobby's mother had been away for a few weeks, so when she returned, she asked Bobby how he had been. "Well, there was a big thunderstorm one night, so Daddy and me slept together." The young French maid, who happened to overhear, said, "You mean Daddy and I?" "No," Bobby said. "That was Thursday night. I'm talking about Friday night." An older husband and his trophy wife are on a hike when the sun starts to go down. Husband, "Don't you think we should turn back?" Wife, "Don't worry, I have a flashlight." Just a little further. It starts to get darker as they enter an isolated, swampy part of woods with gnarled trees and distant lighting. Then, the flashlight goes out. Husband, This is getting creepy." Wife, "You think this is scary? I have to walk out of here alone." Mutter, "We gotta talk about my brother. What did he do this time? When I went into labor, the nurse thought he was the fatter, so they asked what to call the twins. Okay, what did he name the girl? Denise. That's not bad. That's your grandma's name. That's not the problem. It's what he named the boy. What did he name him? Danafew. Boss, do you believe in life after death? Employee, certainly not. There's no proof of it. Boss, well, there is now. After you left early yesterday to go to your uncle's funeral, he came here looking for you. I went to see the optician last week. I told him I was short-sighted. He took me outside and pointed up at the sun. "What's that?" I said, "It's the sun." "How far away is that?" I said, 93 million miles. "How far do you want to see?" Customer, "Hi, what is the Wi-Fi password?" Barista, "You have to buy a coffee first." Customer, "Okay, fine. One small latte, no sugar, and make it hot." Barista, "That will be $5, customer." Pays. "So what's the password then, huh?" Barista, "You have to buy a coffee first. Rinse and repeat." Two blonde farmers decided to start a chicken farm. They bought some chickens and planted them in the ground, head first. When all the chickens died, the blondes were somewhat confused, but they didn't give up. So, they bought more chickens, but planted them feet first this time. It took a little longer, but eventually the second batch of chickens died too. They decided to write a letter to the Blonde Agricultural Bureau. In the letter, they explained in detail the procedures they had followed and their disappointing results. A few weeks later, they received a reply from the Bureau. "Before we can advise you, please send us a soil sample. Tea is an evil substance. It is much more dangerous than beer. I discovered this last night. I drank 15 beers up until 3 a.m. in the pub, while my wife was just at home drinking tea. You should have seen how mad and violent she was when I got home. She threw the chair at me and kept screaming at the top of her lungs. On the other hand, I was quiet and peaceful and silently made my way to bed. But she kept cursing and shouting through the night and well into the next morning. Please, guys, if you can't handle your tea, you should not be drinking it. Please avoid drinking tea. Bob returned home early, and finding his wife naked and in bed with another man, and unable to contain his anger, fired a gun and killed his wife. At the trial, he was charged with third-degree murder, a reduced sentence considering the circumstances. As he was exiting the court, the judge met up with him and asked, "Why did you shoot your wife instead of the man?" "Well, Judge, I figured it was better to shoot a woman once than to shoot a man every week." Seeing her friend Marcia wearing a new locket, Ashley asks if there is a memento of some sort inside. "Yes," says Marcia, "a lock of my husband's hair." "But Larry's still alive?" "I know, but his hair is gone." Two friends meet. "What's up, buddy?" "Not much." Yes. My credit card was stolen." "Not good. At least you canceled it in a timely manner." No. "What? Of course you canceled it." No. All good." "Are you kidding me? You have to cancel it right now. Why don't you want to cancel it?" "The thief spends less than my wife." A group of Boeing employees are sitting on a plane getting ready for takeoff. The pilot comes on over the intercom and says, "Folks, we're pleased to have you flying with us on our brand new 737, fresh from our good friends at Boeing." Immediately, the Boeing employees all scramble to get out of their seats and off the plane as quickly as possible. It's utter pandemonium in the aisles as everyone starts to panic. Everyone, that is, except for one old man, who remains sitting in his seat, quiet and unbothered. A junior executive looks at the old man and says, "Didn't you hear the announcement? If we don't get off now, this plane might fall apart mid-air." The old man says, "Sir, I've been an engineer at Boeing for over 30 years. I've been there through all of the ups and downs, the cost-cutting and outsourcing, the bad times and the good. And if I know how this company operates today, I can say with absolute certainty, there's no chance this plane will even leave the ground." A guy finds an old lamp in the desert. He rubs it, and a genie pops out. The genie tells him he has 2 wishes. The guy says, "I always thought it was 3 wishes." The genie says, "Check your pants." The guy looks down and goes, "Whoa, it's huge." And the genie says, "I've been doing this a long time." A fat man cries as he goes to see his doctor. The doctor asks, "What's wrong?" The man replies, "I just lost 10 kilos. The doctor asks, "How did you lose 10 kilos? The man responds, "I ran over 10 kilos last week." The doctor asks, "Isn't that a huge achievement? What's making you cry?" The man replies, 10 kilos was the name of my dog." An old Chinese man and an old Jewish man are good friends and have been for many years. Every day they take a walk to the park, sit on a bench, and feed the ducks. They never say much to each other, they just quietly enjoy each other's company. Which is why the Chinese man is surprised when one day, as they sit on the bench, the Jewish man suddenly says, "You know, Sam, there's something I've meant to say for a while. I really treasure our friendship, yet there's a part of me that's never forgiven your people for Pearl Harbor." The Chinese man is taken aback, but when he recovers his calm, he says, "Bernie, you know it was the Japanese that bombed Pearl Harbor, not the Chinese." To which the Jewish man shrugs and replies, "Chinese, Japanese, what's the difference?" The Chinese man mulls this over and then says, "Well, Bernie, I'm glad you brought this up, because there's something I've wanted to get off my chest too. I love you as a dear friend, but at the same time, there's a part of me that's never forgiven your people for the Titanic." "The Titanic?" the Jewish man replies. "The Titanic was sunk by an iceberg." The Chinese man shrugs and says, "Iceberg, Goldberg, what's the difference?"